Welcome back. There we go. If you can hear my voice in the fellowship hall, you should start making your way back into the sanctuary because we need to get this show on the road in about 1 minute. So those of you who are still here, if you're missing someone, now would be a great time to find them and bring them back. Gotcha. Friends, welcome. I think we need to get this show on the road. Again, I'm Pastor Laura. Welcome back, or welcome to Hillcrest if you slid in after your congregation's worship service this morning. We have got a kind of tightly packed lineup this afternoon to continue celebrating the ministry of Neil Engel and all of the different ways that he has been such a presence for good in the lives of our communities. Before we get started, I just want a quick show of hands. I'm going to announce some different categories from Neil's life so that we can get a sense of who's here and why. Raise your hand if you are a member of Neil's family. Awesome. So this is the family section. Welcome, family. Raise your hand if you are from Hillside Christian Church. All right, we got the Hillside corner here in the back. Greetings, Hillsiders. Raise your hand if you are from the church in Manhattan. Nice, okay. And McPherson, Kansas. We got any folks from McPherson here? Right over there in the back. Anybody join us from Wyoming? Okay. Is there anyone who's still here from the Overland Park Police Department? They were all in worship with us this morning. Okay. Are there any groups I'm missing? Well, obviously, Hillcrest, raise your hand. Who are my Hillcrest people? Can't leave you out. ELC, who are our ELC folks? The Early Learning Center. Are there any other groups I'm missing? Micah Ministry, who are our Micah folks? Yeah. And generally speaking, our representative, if you're a part of the greater Kansas City region, you can raise your hand. That's all of you from Hillside and Hillcrest. And if you're part of the Kansas region, give us a quick hand wave. Thank you, Kansas. Okay. Thank you so much for bringing people from all of these different areas of Neil's life and his service so that we can celebrate him today. One more introduction, and then we're going to take it off. I want to introduce you to the man who keeps running back and forth between the sound booth and here, our own Bert Meyer, who will be ready momentarily. I'm going to make up some facts about Bert while he gets up here. Bert is the first man to swim across the English Channel on a rubber ducky.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly right.
It's a fact. No, it's not a fact.
Sure.
Bert is going to
be our
merit
badge for that too. Yeah.
Today. Take it away, Bert.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Honored guests, everyone. I'm just going to be introducing some guest speakers. And, first of all, though, I asked Neil, I said, what are one of the things you're going to miss the most about working in a church? And he said, the rumors and all the little, things that fly around. And I heard a lot of rumors about your self-acknowledged obsession with the Andy Griffith Show. And I just want to confirm or deny these rumors. So one of them was, at one point in your ministry, you decided to chuck it all and move to Mount Airy and open a barbershop. No, that's not right. No? Oh, the other one was that you went one whole day without mentioning the Andy Griffith Show. When was that? It's been a while. Okay. The other one is it true that you offered your son a substantial amount of cash to name his son Opie? Is that right? Well, I know that's not true because as a pastor, you've never seen a substantial amount of cash. So, I know that one. So I'd like to introduce the director of our ELC, Mary Whitehead.
Hi, everybody. Like Bert said, my name's Mary Whitehead. I'm the director at the Early Learning Center. I started at the ELC in 2012 as a summer camp seasonal teacher. So I was home from college doing summer camp, and Neil was always just coming through. But over the years, I've grown through my many roles, and now I'm the program director. So Neil, a lot of the thanks goes to you there for the friendship and your guidance, encouragement, and my love for this community has continued today, and it's gotten me where I am today because of you. So, our mantra downstairs at the ELC is that our days are full of love and laughter and magic. We kind of just run off of that all the time. And again, that's large thanks to you. You've been there for our Christmas programs. You actively participate in our Spirit Weeks. You've attended our staff meetings. You've prayed with us. You've married a couple of our teachers. You've been our chili supper auctioneer. And you've brought so many smiles to our kids during chapel and through your story times. You've always been our biggest supporter, and for that, we're forever grateful. So on behalf of the Early Learning Center, we thank you for praying with us and for leading us, for teaching us, and for always dancing with us. We wish you well. So if everybody can look up here. We've got a short video that we've put together.
I guess that's it. All right. Thank you. That's all right. That darn internet sometimes. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce someone I believe, no, come on up. You've known Neil since college, is that right? Since Phillips, way back in the day. So this is Hillcrest's own Kirby Gould.
Thank you. I have three categories I want to share with you this morning or this afternoon. I entered Phillips University in Enid, Oklahoma in the fall of 1978. And during the summer, I had met an upperclassman by the name of Alan Lobaugh. And so here I was, a freshman, and he said, "There's this wedding on Saturday. Would you like to go and be my date with me?" Well, no underclassman's going to turn down a date with an upperclassman. And so the wedding at University Place Christian Church was to be the marriage of our own Holly Lowry and Neil Engel. So that was my first introduction to who would become my future pastor. As Neil went on to seminary and I was an undergraduate, eventually I worked in the admissions office and Neil was upstairs in the development office, and we often crossed paths as we traveled along. I have a message here from Susie Sharp Morgan for you. This is a fellow classmate. Said, "Would you please convey my congratulations to Neil, although he's way too young to retire. Also, he was the best big brother. Was she your varsity little sis? Okay. And any frightened and shy freshman could not have asked for a greater role model. In fact, she literally followed in your footsteps. Freshman senator, sophomore senator, all-school senator, president, and Representative Philippian. It was also an honor and a joy to share an apartment one summer with the love of his life, Holly, and to stand up with them at their wedding. Some things you just can't forget, even after 50 years later. And I will never forget Neil and Holly and their friendship and wish them every happiness in their new chapter in their lives. So from that time, then Neil became the minister of my home church, First Christian Church, McPherson, Kansas. So he was my mom and dad's pastor. And for some reason, I was looking through some things and I found this thank you letter. I think you probably gave it back to me. You were cleaning out your closet and said, you might want to hang on to this. And this was a letter written to Neil by my father, Claude Hughes. And it must have been right after that I had preached probably for a youth Sunday service, probably try to encourage young people to go into ministry. What my dad wrote, he said, I thought your presentation of her credentials was excellent. And of course, we were very pleased with the response. Thanks for giving her that opportunity. I hope the young people paid some attention to what you said and is a living example as to what is possible. We don't say thank you often enough. And some would say, oh, he's just doing his job. And that's certainly true. You didn't have to do what you did, but we thought it was beautiful. As for your job, I rate you right up there alongside Dr. Norman Jacobs as one of the best ministers we've ever had. And I'd include Bill English on that too. Keep up the good work. We're always very best. We'll do our very best to support you all the way. P.S. I look forward to a round of golf with you this spring. I hear you're pretty good. And then finally, once Neil came here to Hillcrest, he was going for many years to Jamaica on the medical mission trips. And there was a couple of times that we were able to go with him. And there was one thing that happened in Jamaica that really, it was such a, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can not cry through this, but he gave me one of the biggest life lessons I've ever learned in one of those trips to Jamaica. And it went like this. He said, never is always, never put cold syrup on hot pancakes. And from this moment on, I can never have pancakes without putting that maple syrup in the microwave ever again. So thank you, Neil.
My dad shares that sentiment. It did, yeah. Right. Cold on hot doesn't make sense, right? Well, before we open it up to the floor, Neil, what people ask some people who are retiring is, well, what do you plan to do? And some people, they get part-time jobs, and I've got a few suggestions, if I may suggest part-time jobs for you. One might be you could be a towel boy on a Caribbean cruise line. You could do that. Or you could try out to be a judge on the American version of the Great British Baking Show, but you'd have to change your name to Neil Hollywood. And the other one would be, you could just go a mile down the road and just continue being a chaplain for the Overland Park Golf Course. There's a lot of praying that goes on down there, let me tell you. So you could do one of those jobs like that. So with that, we'll have an open microphone if anybody wants to have some remarks or anything about Neil.
Neil has been such a blessing to my life. He's taken me to the hospital, visited me in the hospital, and taken me home from the hospital. And Neil and Holly were with me when I learned of my son's death. I don't know how I would have handled that without him, without both of them being there. And I'm so grateful for all he's done for me.
Thank you. Over here, thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Neil and I grew up together in Kansas regional youth activities, and we did retreats to McPherson. I don't know where she went. Hi. And crazy things. And then he took off to Phillips, and I followed the next year, not because he took off to Phillips, but we were there together. And then Holly and the rest of his, and I took a different way, and we ended up at Hillside Christian together. He was serving, and I walked in the door, and he was in the pulpit, and it was like, I belong here. So I could probably tell 3 or 4 stories that would make him turn a little pink, but I'll wrap up with, it's been wonderful to know him and the Kansas region, and I think that program at that time served lots of kids and sent many into ministry of one or another. Thank you.
Thank you. Behind you, Beth.
When I told my friend Warren that Neil was retiring, he looked at me. He's a person who had had some very difficult experiences at churches and will rarely darken the door. But when I told him that Neil was retiring, he turned to me and he said, "Is that guy that visited my mother in the hospital?" And that's Neil. He's a servant pastor, and I love you.
I've known Neil almost my whole life, and it's just impressive how just good of a person he is. Like going to people when they're in the hospital and helping with the ELC, of course. And he's so kind and warm and inviting. And every person I've ever brought to church with me has felt so welcoming, so welcome in his presence. He just has this way about him that makes him just a person that you want to be around and would want to talk to. And he deserves a great retirement, relaxing for all the stuff that he does around here and just in the world. And he's just a great guy, and I wish him the best.
Thank you. Anyone?
Here's Johnny. Welcome to the Johnny Carson Show. I'd like to let you know that we have a very special guest at the show tonight, Karnak the Magnificent. Only that guy who can ascertain the answers before he even knows the questions. Answers are, a Jamaican pill counter or pharmacist, or a very, very good pastor? Name two things in life that Neil really excelled in.
Great. Thank you. Is there anyone else? Thank you. There we go.
I'm from Hillside Christian. I can't remember the particulars of how this came about, but Neil decided that we would have a recycling effort that originated in the Hillside parking lot. And we did. I don't remember how long it went on, but there was an article in the newspaper that named Neil as the Minister of Trash. It was a great idea. You know, he's always been concerned about the environment. Thank you, Neil, for being with us at Hillside during that particular time in your life, and I wish you the very best in retirement.
Very good. Nope.
One more thing I think he'll enjoy. I had never heard of the Andy Griffith show before, Neil. And no, this is a good thing. And I remember I was like, oh, but when he did that whole presentation about it, it just seemed like he was really into it, and I respected that. And then I remember it was in Texas at my great grandparents' house. They don't have any streaming services, and there was cable, and it was on cable. And I'm like, I'm gonna watch a few episodes, and I really enjoyed it. And so it's a good show, and I wouldn't have done that without Neil.
Thank you. Go ahead. Yeah. Coming at you.
I didn't know I was going to have this opportunity, so this is not prepared. My name is Stephanie Switsky, and I was asked to consider being the Director of Christian Education at First Christian Manhattan in 2002, that summer of 2002, which is where Neil had just taken a position or the position of senior minister. And so I spent the next 5 years there as a youth minister, director of Christian education. And I cannot talk about my time in Manhattan without saying it was the most transformational time of my life. And working with Neil, and if you saw Marion earlier today, she was sitting here in the front row. She was our church secretary. And the three of us had conversations regularly. And those conversations have absolutely impacted my life in really, really special ways. I was also able to get to know his daughter Gretchen really well by having her in my youth group. And I was given the opportunity to basically find out that ministering to teenagers is what I want to do with the rest of my life. And so after doing that for 5 years, I now minister as a high school English teacher. And so I cannot thank Neil enough for asking me that summer, what do you think about being the Director of Christian Education? I'm like, I have no idea what that is, but I'll consider it. And it was a really, really great fit. And like I said, some of the best 5 years of my 20s for sure. So really appreciate you and your family. And I am so thankful that you get to experience retirement now. So.
Hi, my name is Lori Taylor, and I represent Micah Ministry along with Nedra Jeffries here. I've been the director of the clothing pantry for 10 years, and then I passed it off to Nedra, who's doing a wonderful job. Neil has been a guiding light for us. His calm, quiet strength, it just pervades everything. And if any of you have ever been to Micah, you know we need calm, quiet strength. It's rather chaotic, and we're very thankful for what Neil brings and has always brought to Micah Ministries. Nedra?
And just to add one story, this is probably our favorite Neil Micah story. As part of our ministry, we, pre-COVID anyway, we had personal shoppers go to each of our guests, and they fill clothing orders.
And we had one guest who really needed a pair of jeans, and we were out of the jeans of that size. So one of our other volunteers looked at Neil and said, "You're about the right size. I think your jeans would fit our guest." And Neil, being the kind of guy who would not only give you the shirt off his back, but literally the jeans off of his bottom, went in, grabbed a pair of sweats, gave the pair of jeans to that guest. And that just kind of is one example of the servant leader he is, and how we serve Micah so well. More than once I've been informed. So thank you, Neil.
Is anybody else? Yeah, who's that?
Andy, we got to do something about that parking. It's getting out of hand. There's just nowhere to park. Turn the microphone on. Andy, we got to do something about that parking. There's nowhere to park. It's getting out of hand.
Now, Barney, you know that that parking out there is because all these folks that have come to town for business. And it's good for the businesses when they're here in Mayberry.
There's just too many cars in Mayberry. You can hardly find a place to park. It's not right.
Sheriff Engel here. Yes, Mrs. Brown? Yeah, I know those chickens can be awful pesky, Mrs. Brown. No, ma'am, I can't help you get them back into the coop. You do get some nice eggs from Mrs. Winston, don't you? Yeah, okay. Well, you have a nice day.
Mrs. Brown complaining about them chickens again?
That poor thing, those birds just run her ragged. I really am looking forward to retiring. Busy today. Sheriff Engel here. You fell asleep again. Sorry, I got to hold it in the other hand. He fell asleep again? Where? Okay, I'll be right there. Barney, I got to go to the diner and pick up Otis again. Had a few too many root beers, and they said he's sleeping on the counter.
Don't worry, Ange. I'll take care of everything.
Oh, Barney. I'm just so upset. Oh, Barney, when Andy left this morning, he was talking about retiring. Is he really going to retire? I just don't know what to do.
Maybe. Sheriff Andy's always taking good care of the good people here at Mayberry. I'm sure he's not going to do anything rash.
Is it time to go fishing? Said there'd be time to go fishing.
Oh, your pa's not here. He had to go pick up Otis.
Andy? Oh, you just stay right there, Otis, until you're feeling better.
I didn't do anything wrong.
I know, Otis, but you can't be sleeping in the restaurant.
Andy, I was on the telephone just a little while ago, and accidentally, purely by accident, I happened to be listening in on the party line, and I heard the news. You're retiring. Congratulations. I'm so glad. No one deserves it more. You've worked so hard for so long. You deserve some time off to relax and enjoy yourself in this new chapter in your life.
Well, thank you, Thelma Lou. And that's right. I am retiring.
Do you think you might learn to play the drums again?
I'm hoping to get back into that again. I'm going to leave things at work here in Barney's good hands, but I'm sure glad to hear that there's one person in Mayberry that's happy about this besides me.
Congratulations.
All right.
Well
Good job.
done.
Good for you. Congratulations, Neil.
So before we bring Neil up and let him have some last remarks, I asked Neil one time, I said, if you weren't going to go into ministry, what did you want to really do? And he said, well, I kind of had the idea I wanted to be a comedy writer. I said, oh, really? Well, since I've been listening to your sermons for all these years, you are a comedy writer, buddy. Neil, come on up. Let's give Neil a hand.
Now, men, this has been a tremendous day. I couldn't have asked for a better response. I mean, the warmth and love that I felt, your comments, your reminders about how we touch each other's lives in ways that we don't know. It has meant the world to me. Last Sunday, I came home with a cold. We were in Colorado on a trip. I came home and I had a really bad cold. I had not really been myself since I'd come home, and I was worried last Sunday that today I would be feeling crummy and that I wouldn't be able to enjoy this. But I got better with some help with some prednisone this week, and I've just enjoyed today so much, and the love that you've shown me and for my family. And to see people from across the years and across the congregations, to be part of the church when we get it right, and we show love and compassion for each other and nurture the relationships, that's, to me, where else can you go for that? And so I thank you for being here, for all the food, the program, everything that was put together. It is a mixed bag, to say goodbye. I love working with you guys. I love ministering with you. I love everything about this job, this calling. But it's because of you and the people that you are, and again, the partners that you are in the gospel. So I wish you nothing but the best. I know that you've got great days ahead as a congregation, and it's been a blessing to be able to end my ministry this way with this congregation, and the love that you've shown for all my family. Um, any, any of my various relatives that show up on a given Sunday, you've welcomed them, and that means the world. So again, thank you for your love and the privilege it has been to serve you in different ways. I love you all. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Again, another word of thanks to all of you for coming out today. I can tell you, as someone who has had the privilege of being Neil's colleague these last almost 2 years, there are a lot of pastors out there who, when it is approaching time to retirement, either hold on as tight as they possibly can, and they just can't let go. And so they hold on and they hold on and they hold on, and it ends up hurting them. It ends up hurting their people. It ends up hurting their legacy because of that. Or they don't make any plans, and they just decide one Tuesday, hey, I think I'm retiring next month. And everyone goes, what? And everything gets dropped. And that's not who Neil is as a pastor. You just hearing all the things that you've heard about him today, you would know that's not who he is as a person. And so he's been planning for this day. That the reason why I'm here is because he said, I feel like my retirement is coming, and I want the church to be ready. I want to be ready. I want the people that I work with to be ready. And so he started, with the help of others in the church, to create a plan. And so that's why we are where we are today, because Neil loves his people and his family and everyone that he encounters enough to make plans for them instead of going one of those other ways. So Neil, thank you for doing that and for being such a fun person to work with and collaborate with. Pray for him. We are going to have him come up right now, and we are going to lay some hands on him. Now, I want family to be the people who lay hands on him physically, okay? So he'll be surrounded by his family. They'll all lay hands. Everyone else who is out in the sanctuary, just put a hand out and know that we're connected by bonds of love. We're connected by the Holy Spirit. We're connected by our decades of experience with one another. We're going to give him a blessing to send him into retirement, because much like in White Christmas, you know, that song, what do you do with a general when he stops being a general? What do you do with the general who retires? We could put pastor in there. It's hard to retire from a pastorate. And so we need to pray him into that, and then we will be done for the day. Come on up, Neil. And come on up, family. Let's get some hands on him. All of you, if you're here with someone, you can put a hand on their shoulder. You can put a hand out. Respect one another's COVID preferences and precautions. Let us pray. Holy God, we stand here before you today, having celebrated and shared our love for this man, Neil Engel, this pastor, this partner, this husband and father and family member, this friend, this participant in your kingdom, this builder within your kingdom. We hope that we have celebrated him well. We hope that we have shown him but a glimpse of all of the impact that he has had for good in the world during his 42 years of ministry and beyond. And now we ask that you would fill him with strength and with joy, with peace, with patience. Fill him with wonder, that he might step into this new phase of his life and be able to enjoy everything that it has to offer without regret, where he can look behind him at everything that has brought him to this point and he can feel nothing but thanksgiving, where he can feel compassion for himself and for all the people that he served. Help him to enjoy this phase of life with Holly and with the rest of his family. May they rediscover one another now that he has time. Help him to enjoy a cup of coffee at a coffee shop at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning if he refuses to sleep on a Sunday morning. Give him everything that he needs. Be with us as we say goodbye. Be with him as he says goodbye. And be with him as he steps into what is next. All of these things we pray to you in the powerful name of your Son, Jesus. Amen. Thank you for coming.